Alright, so let's take a look at how we can retarget the motions output from Cascadeur using the materials provided by the Bento Buddy group on Discord. So first thing to do is to grab our FBX file and import. There we go. Alright, so this thing is a test scene provided by one of our MyStar users, and what I want to point out here is that these joints have been um, repurposed or recreated from Blender, most likely, from considering what their direction is, and made compliant with the BVH standard, which means that if we select the hierarchy and zero out the rotation, this is what we get. Pretty bad, pretty unusable. Alright, so I'm going to go to a negative frame. So over there I can just recreate the T-pose. If we could just preserve the T-pose at the beginning of the animation, that would be best, but in this case we have to just manually recreate it, unfortunately. So yeah, first things first, the translate X goes back to 0, the Z goes back to 0, no, that wasn't the Z. Okay, the Y, and then the default Maya avatar has a height, a base height of 1.06067. Alright, so we are back to the center. So this joint here, this we're going to just rotate to 0. Then all of these, select hierarchy. Oh, select hierarchy is select the top one, control right click, select hierarchy, and then zero that out. Same thing over there, zero it out. Alright, let's zero out also the pelvis. Yeah, so this number needs to be 0, and then the Y axis needs to be that number that was on the Z. I wasn't wrong after all. So okay, so neck and head, rotate 0. Let's see what happens with rotating this to 0. Oh my, really bad. But then we can use this to snap it back down like this, 180 degrees, 0. Come on. 180. 0. Oh, so bad. Oh, so bad. Okay. So we have roughly reconstructed the basic T-pose. It looks like the legs aren't exactly the same, but as long as it is a T-pose and the joints are straight, that's going to work well with with human IK. Now these, unfortunately, if we zero them out, yeah, we zero them out, so we can just go back. Ooh, so bad. Okay, so with these ones we can just eyeball them. What happened, it was that it was also rotating, so the palm was facing towards us. And now in this configuration, so it's laying down along the y-axis like this. We go to the human IK and we just create a new character definition. Now I'm going to just skip the fingers, but before I start doing anything and make any kind of mistake, we haven't recorded the keyframe here at the beginning, so I'm gonna select the pelvis, controller right click and select hierarchy, and I'm going to keyframe everything so that this pose is now recorded. It's before our animation, so it's not going to give us any headache. So human IK. Let's begin. So it's pretty easy. In here we can make a definition of our character, which means that I double click on the hips, and so now I can select what the hips are, and it becomes green because it's validated and it's fine. Then I go with the next. Cancel. Okay. So it's pretty hard to see the joints, right? So again, select hierarchy, channel box, and increase the radius so we can see what the hell we're doing. Okay, double click, and it was this one. Then we go under, I mean, these little triangles, it's like expand the hierarchy so it goes into this detail, and we start from the very bottom going up, and since with the second life avatar here has only two, the first one has been defined already, second one, and we go there. This part is done. Go back up, we go to the neck, first one, choose the neck, get out of there, double click on the head and select the head. Done. Expanded the clavicle, for always the first one in the chain that you can see there, and it automatically also maps to the other side. Let's keep going, and I will stop at the end. Okay, so this side, it's not liking how the thing is aligned. You see why? It's not completely aligned with the, it's not perfectly aligned with the world axis. So it's pretty easy. Grab that one, rotate it, rotate it until it becomes green. When it's green, it's fine. Just as a good measure, we're going to keyframe here. We're still on the -1. All right. Keep going with the legs. Foot. And we're done. So once everything is the very basic ones, the fingers are extras, for example. It's not really important in our case, but once we have the green tick mark here, what we should be doing is to lock the definition here with a lock skeleton definition button Once it's locked, we are all good and set to go. So we go to frame 0, right? And this definition is done. Save off this file. So Cascadeur demo file, animation. Okay. With this one saved off, we create a new scene. Okay, in this scene, Maya star. Give it a time. And well, we're not using the fingers, so who cares? I'm going to grab the original female. All right. Animation. MyAniMATE. Oh, that's the generate first. Yes. Anim. And human HIK. All right. So with this thing done, so basically this avatar has everything automated to be already mapped when you finish clicking through the setup. The next step is to import the animation file, but from Cascadeur that we have prepared. But the best way to do that, so we can get rid of it more easily, is to reference it. So we are going to create a reference, and that's the demo animation reference, and we've got it animated. Alright, so then the next thing is to tell Maya that we want to work with our character 1, that's fine, okay, but its source should not be the control rig, rather the other character that we had created previously in the other file that we are referencing it now here. So bam, see? Okay, so now it's almost good because the front is the positive x-axis. Therefore, if we rotate our referenced file, the retargeted file also follows, because it's following 100% what the source file is doing. Okay. Now the next step is to go here, go to bake to skeleton. That's what we want to do. And I should have opened the the option box, so I'm going to stick the source again to the Cascadeur demo anim. When I go to bake and bake to skeleton, quite a bit too many frames. So this animation starts from 0 and goes on to this 29. Okay, so put this at 29. Now the hierarchy and whatever is not really important. What is important here is to set this to start and end, and set start and end. Then bake to the base animation, fine, because we're not working with animation layers and we don't even want to create a new layer. Sample by, leave everything at default. It will sample the animation every single frame when it's set to 1. If you set it to 2, it will just sample one frame, skip 1, sample the next, skip 1, sample the next. So maximum fidelity, you can get it just from sampling by 1. Oversampling rate means, do we have to sample between a frame and another completely useless in this case. We're not baking animation caches, which would be important for the geometry position between a frame and another. In our cases, our joint, so oversampling rate is 1, it's fine. Just don't use a smart bake because it would just do a sparse kind of keyframing. Instead, we want to have the same exact thing. So frame by frame is fine. Don't use smart bake. Run simulation. You can just turn it off if you like. You will not see the character moving if you do. So I will keep that on. Keep unbaked keys. If you already had some keys, it will keep it. If it's off, it will just remove the previous animation and replace it. Sparse curve bake, that's the same. That's something also removing keyframes, so it will guess the interpolation between main frames, but I wouldn't trust it too much, so I'll just leave it off. Disable implicit control, turn it on, and most important of everything, unroll rotation. This will recalculate things and make sure that there is no gimbal lock or axis flipping. Alright, so with that said, now that we have a correct frame range bake, cool. Indeed, if I grab the animation skeleton, you see it didn't keep the previous animation here, went down to 29. Every frame has got a single keyframe. Now, before we go ahead, we just remove now the reference. So let's go to reference editor this time. Here we have the file that we have referenced before. Right click, reference, and then remove reference. Yes, remove. That is gone. Also the character from here is gone, so it's the best way to keep your file clean. And you have retargeted your animation. Now, if you want to keep working on it, you can bake to the human HIK skeleton and use that to further modify this. But if you're just working with Cascadeur and use Maya to export as an anim format, at this point you can just go ahead and well, you can use either MyAniMAte in MayaStar, or if you have MyAniMAte 2, just use MyAniMAte 2. And export from here, as usual. So, yeah, it works. This way, it's just as easy as I've shown you. Of course, if you wanted to move the character a little bit more towards the back, you could have done it before transferring when the source was set to the other file, and then bake from there. And yeah, that's all about it. Yeah. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.